Hey everyone, we're not going to be able to meet tonight, and so I just wanted to quickly, just real quickly, go over a couple things from the passage that I was going to preach on tonight that I think really apply to what is going on in our world right now. And so if you look at Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, the author of Hebrews there says that we need to run the race. And the race that he's talking about there is the race of the life of faith. Another way of saying that would be life with Jesus or walking with Jesus. And he's saying that that's what's most important. In order to run that race, he gives us three things that we need to do. First, he says that we need to throw off the weight and throw off the sin. And so those are two different things. First would be the weight. And so these are things that when you're running, you put aside because they're just not going to help you run. They're going to be in your way. They're going to slow you down. And so those are things that aren't wrong. They're not bad to have. It's not bad to wear a heavy coat. It's not bad to wear jeans. But when you're running, you don't want those things. They're going to slow you down. There's going to be weights that are unnecessary. And so we need to throw off those things. And then he also says to throw off the sin, which it's probably kind of makes sense that, we can't have sin in our lives if we want to walk with Jesus, if we want to run the race well. We can't have sin tripping us up. And then he also says to fix our eyes on Jesus. And so what he's saying there is that we need to have our attention totally focused on Jesus. And in the races that were run at this time, they were run in a straight fashion. So it wasn't like an oval on a track where how we do races today, but it was this straight shot, the straight sprint. And so at the end there would be this pole that was kind of like the finish line. And sometimes, according to some accounts, the judges would actually stand there at the end holding the prize. And so these runners, as they're going down the track, as they're running, they would fix their eyes on the prize. Literally, they would see it at the end, and that was what they were running towards. And so the author of Hebrews says that in the same way, we need to fix our eyes. We need to have our attention totally focused on Jesus, because He is the reward. Following Jesus is not about getting to heaven someday and having streets of gold. It's not about getting to heaven today and someday and having all these physical rewards, as great as those things could be. Really, the reward, the prize for walking with Jesus is Jesus Himself. He is our prize, and we need to fix our eyes on Him. And then thirdly, he says, consider Him. Consider Jesus and consider what He endured for you, the suffering that He endured for you, and because of that, you know that you can endure this race. You can endure this life that He's given us to live, this life of faith. We can endure that because Jesus endured far, far worse for us. And so because of that, because of what He's done for us, we can now follow Him. We can run this race. And I think that this really applies to what's going on in our world right now with this pandemic of the coronavirus, because in the midst of this, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus, and we need to run the race. We need to throw off the weights, those things that just aren't going to be helpful. We need to throw off the sin, and we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. We need to consider what He's done for us, and realize that we can do this. We need to not get distracted by all this stuff going on around us in our world. We need not get distracted by worry or fear or panic that's going on in our world. And we also need to not get distracted by those things that just don't matter, those weights that aren't going to help us. We don't need to binge watch Netflix for the next couple of weeks because we don't have school. We can, instead of doing that, those things aren't wrong. They're not sinful. But instead of doing that, why don't we spend extra time in the Bible? Instead of playing video games for 24 hours straight, why don't we spend some time serving people around us? If we just look around, we'll find all kinds of needs that we can meet. And so we need to not get distracted with things that are wrong. I'm not saying we can't have fun. I'm not saying we can't enjoy the time off. I'm not saying that at all. But we can use this time that God has given us, where we don't have school and we can't go to church for a time, it seems. We can use this time to invest it in eternity, because we're not going to remember, in 2 weeks, you're not going to remember the 24 hours of video games you played. You're not going to remember that. But if you take that time to invest in somebody else, to serve somebody around you, and make a difference for eternity, man, you'll remember that for the rest of your life, and they'll remember that for the rest of their lives. And so in the midst of this this time that's different. Our schedules are different. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. In the midst of this, let's run the race well. Let's fix our eyes on Jesus. Let's throw off the weight. Let's throw off the sin. Let's consider what he's done for us. And let's run the race.